Morning. Have you met anyone this week that messed up your plan and messed it up big time? And after messing up, leave with a terrible consequence. Maybe when you meet such a person, what will you do with him or her? Maybe last week in your office, some important projects that you are doing and someone come, your team, colleague come along and mess it up. What will you do to him or her? Or there's an important match or game and one of your teammates make a big mistake. What will you do? And you messed up and you fail the whole team. Or it could be a small thing in life like a surprise party for a friend or a Chinese New Year reunion gathering. And someone make a mistake and foul up the whole thing. Or it could be big things in life. It could be your parents. You feel that your parents fail you. Or it could be your child that fail you. Or it could be your spouse that fail you. And in all these give you a bad experience of growing up. What would you do when someone messed up your life or your plan? 1879, Thomas Edison were working on the light bulb, the first light bulb that we have. And they've been working on this for years. And finally, they did this project on light bulb, and they had not less than 600 failures. Try and try and try. And the final product, because at the time there's no such thing as mass production, so the final product, the first light bulb that they have, they used 24 hours non-stop working on it to create the first light bulb. And it's not just Thomas Edison, it was him with a team of 14 other people. There were engineers, there were physicists, and there were machinists. They're all working together for 24 hours non-stop. And they came up with the first light bulb. And they were so happy. And they need to bring this light bulb to another part of the lab at the second floor. So Thomas Edison passed it to a boy, and this boy is a helper in the lab. So ask the boy, he says, telling the boy, okay, bring this out, be very careful with this light bulb, don't break it. So this boy was so careful bringing the light bulb up, and he was concentrating on the light bulb that was holding in his hand, and he missed a step. And that's it, the first light bulb broke. You can imagine the faces of all the people in the lab. They were like, and you can imagine the faces of all the engineers and scientists. And you can imagine what happened to Thomas Edison's heart. It probably broke like the light bulb. And this is an example of a person who messed up a big project with a heavy consequence. What will you do to someone who messed up your plan? Genesis chapter 16. Abraham and Sarah, that was what was preached to us last week. That's the first light bulb actually. Yeah. Last week we heard that in Genesis 16 that Abraham and Sarah messed up God's plan big time. They wanted to help God, but they were impatient. God promised an offspring for them, and they want to help God. They want to have a hand in it to help God. So they came out a man-centered way to help God. They came out Sarah. It's wrong. They came out Hagar, which is the first surrogate mother in history. And what did they do? They messed up God's plan. What were the terrible consequences? Abraham and Sarah's relationship was strained. Remember, they were blaming, at least Sarah was blaming Abraham. And they put an innocent third party, Hagar, and causing much suffering to her life because of Sarah's scheme of work. And after that, Sarah abused Hagar. This is the first maid abuse case in history. It didn't just happen in Singapore or Hong Kong, so it happened in the Middle East. And what happened? And it also affected the next generation, Ishmael. It will definitely affect the next generation. So there were much jealousy, fight, anger, bitterness, brokenness, tears. What will you do if someone messed up your plan? And what did God do when Abraham and Sarah messed up his plan? Take a look at chapter 17, the passage for us today. What did God do? Verse 1, God took the initiative to approach Abraham and re-establish his covenant with him. What did God do? God showed Abraham grace. God showed Abraham grace. What did God do? Take a look at verse 1. God educated Abraham and says, I am God Almighty. Can you see? Why did God introduce himself in that way? God is re-educating Abraham to say that he is Almighty. In the Hebrew word, this is the word called El Shaddai, God Almighty. God is telling Abraham that he's able to carry out his plan without the help of Abraham. So he doesn't need to use his man-centered way to help God. God will be able to carry out his plan, his grand plan of salvation. He is able to. And God says, walk before me and be blameless. The word blameless here, the context here, doesn't mean to be sinless because it's impossible for Abraham. But it really means to trust God in his plan and don't use his own method. God is educating Abraham again. And after that, not just educating him, God assured him of his relationship with Abraham. You see, verse 2, God said, I will establish my covenant with you. Verse 7, I will establish my covenant with you. Verse 19, I will establish my covenant with your son. Verse 21, I will establish my covenant with your son. Again and again and again, God reassured him. Not just that, God promised Abraham of the son. 17, verse 16, it says, you will have a son. And Abraham laughed. God said again, you will have a son at verse 19. But God did not just assure Abraham. How about Sarah? Chapter 18, God assures Sarah again. Also, chapter 18, verse 10, God spoke in front of Sarah, or when in the hearing of Sarah, that Sarah is going to have a son. When Sarah laughed, God assured her again in verse 14 that she will have a son. See, both of them made a mistake in chapter 16. Both of them. But God assured both of them again. Both of them doubted God, and both of them laughed. Chapter 17, verse 17, Abraham laughed. Chapter 18, verse 12, Sarah laughed. But again, God reassured them. He says, you will have a son. God established his covenant with them. God reassured them of the promise that he had given to them. What is this called? Grace. And I define grace in this chapter as taking the initiative to educate and assure them of their special relationship with God. What is grace? God took the initiative to educate Abraham again and Sarah and reassure them of their special relationship with God. It's like parent and child illustration. Sometimes, those of us who are parents, sometimes when your child misbehaves or they spin the milk, what do? We smack them further, especially in front of public, right? Embarrass us. No, that's not grace. That's not grace. Grace is that you will bring the child, you will educate the child, says this is not the right thing to do. But then, after that, you may discipline the child. After that, you will hug the child and says, I still love you. You still assure the child of your relationship with you. This is what God did to us. But what will we do when people fail our plan? What will you do when people fail your plan? And what did God do? God showed Abraham grace. But more than that, take a look at the passage. God showed him grace upon grace. God promised Abraham, chapter 17, verse 4. He says, you will be a father of a multitude of nations. And then he renamed Abraham to Abraham, which means father of multitudes of nations. Verse 5. But not only did he rename Abraham, he also renamed Sarah to Sarah. Chapter 17, verse 16. Because she will be mothers of nations, or nations will come from her. Remember, this had to be a mother or father of multitudes of nations. Remember Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, it says, for through you, all nations will be blessed. Through you, all nations will be blessed. God is still having in mind these blessings of this special promise for Abraham and Sarah. Remember the story at the beginning, I was telling you about the broken bulb of this Thomas Edison and the lab boy. So after the first light bulb broke, Thomas Edison got his team of engineers together again, and they worked for the next 24 hours non-stop for the second light bulb. for another light bulb they create. And they work on it. It was as described by his friend James Newton, who was writing this in his book. He's a friend of John Newton. He said that the work on it is a very meticulous and very painstaking process. And it was definitely tiring because this is the second 24 hours they were working on the light bulb. And finally they came up with the second light bulb, another light bulb. Thomas Edison took the light bulb and he called the same lab boy who was helping in the lab come over. He says, now bring it down upstairs to the other part of the lab. He gave it to the same boy. He didn't say, you tired, you want to go where? No, he asked the same boy, he says, you take it. You take it and bring it down. What is this called? Grace upon grace. It is as if telling the boy that I know you have failed me, but I still have use of you. It is what God is telling Abraham. They have messed up big time. They have messed up big time, leaving terrible consequence. God is telling Abraham and Sarah, I know you have failed, but I still have use of you. I still deem you as useful in my grand plan of salvation for mankind. You are still going to be a blessing for many people. You are still going to be. So I define these. Grace upon grace is that God will still use them, Abraham and Sarah, as a blessing to others. God will still use Abraham and Sarah as blessings to others. What will you do when someone messed up your plan? What did God do? God showed him grace, educating them, assuring them of their special relationship. More than that, God showed them grace upon grace, that God will still use them as a blessing for other people. But more than that still, because at the back of Abraham, he says, yeah, God, you bless me, you still want to use me. What about the mess that I've created? Chapter 17, verse 18, Abraham says, may Ishmael live before you. How about Ishmael, the mess that I've created? The last part here, I call it grace upon grace upon grace. Chapter 17, verse 20, God says, well, I will bless Ishmael. God made it very clear that Ishmael is not the covenant son, but God will still bless him. What is God doing? God is actually cleaning up Abraham and Sarah's mess. It's grace upon grace upon grace. I put that grace upon grace is God cleaned up their mess for them. Well, we are not saying here that therefore because of God's grace they can continue to make a mess and they can continue to sin. So that I can sin more so that the grace will abound more. No, that's not what he's simply saying here. No, but we understand here that God cleaned up his mess. And how did God clean up Abraham and Sarah's mess? Well, they have a son of their own doing. Finally, God will send an impossible son, Isaac. Impossible because Abraham and Isaac is already beyond the age-bearing stage already. So God is going to send an impossible son, and through the line of this impossible son, Isaac, God is going to send someone who will clean up Abraham's sin, Abraham's mess. You see, sin hurt people around us. Sin damage ourselves too. Sin destroy this world that we live in, cause grief and anger to God the Creator. And in sin, we messed up in time. We all messed up in time. We hurt people. We destroy relationship. We cause a lot of pain, anger, bitterness, tears, fights, jealousy. And the consequences is not just this life. The consequence we have to face is even after we die, we will face the eternal judgment of God and eternal damnation in hell. But God cleared up Abraham's mess in his sin, because through the life of Isaac, he will send his own son, appointed son, Jesus Christ, who was born in the life of Isaac, and he came and he cleared up Abraham's mess, but not just that, he cleared up our mess too. Let me show you a New Testament verse for this. 1 John chapter 4 verse 10, he says, this is love. Not that we love God, but he loved us. And he sent his son in the light of that impossible son Isaac to come, to be a propitiation for our sin. Propitiation really means something that divert away God's wrath and anger. And where did he divert God's wrath and anger to the mass of sin that he had created? He diverted the wrath to himself. The Son diverted God's wrath and anger to himself when he died for us on the cross. By that, he cleared up the mass of sin, and not just Abraham and Sarah had committed, the mass of Adam and Eve that were committed, the mass of you and me in our lives. And if you have not received God's grace through His Son, any one of us here, we can humbly come and admit the mess that we have made in our life and the lives of other people. You can. And ask God to forgive us our sin. And believe that Jesus Christ, His Son, has come 2,000 years ago, died for our sin to clear up our mess. And that's what He did for us. And in life, sometimes we still continue to sin, and we also sometimes can witness that how God cleaned up our mess for us. You know, sometimes we face the consequence of our sin and foolish decision. We do face them, but you must understand that the consequence that we face is also God's way to continue to clear up mess in our life as Christians, to clear up mess in our life as Christians. Because when we face the consequences, it's God's loving way to discipline us, to meet us and mold us to be more like Jesus Christ. This is also the way to clear us up from our sin. And therefore, through all this experience, we understand that God is graciously providing a way out for us. But having said that, many of us, I think in this room, can actually testify that God has also cleared up mess in other ways too. And He graciously provided other ways for us, that even sometimes He saves us from the terrible consequence of it. I've spoken to parents who neglect, good Christian parents, they are good Christians, but in their years they neglect their children. They're so busy with their career. But at the end of it, some of their parents, some of our children have going to grow up well, loving the Lord, serving the Lord. And when you speak to these parents dare not claim any credits for themselves because they know God has cleared their mess. Or sometimes in ministry, serving God together, we also messed up the ministry too, right? And when we look back, we only cover our eyes and say, that is all the mistakes I made in the ministry. And sometimes the people grow up well. And when you talk to some of these people who have involved in ministry and they know that they have messed up in time, they dare not claim any credits for themselves because it's God has cleared up. In His grace, He has cleared up the mess for us. How shall we respond to this immeasurable grace of God? Let's take a look and continue the story here in Genesis 17. What did Abraham do? How did he respond? Well, 17 verse 23 to 27. Verse 23. Abraham went back, and on that same day, you must imagine, when you read narrative, you must have imagination with the narrative itself. You must imagine this 99-year-old man went back to his clan of people, and he came out and says, today I have an announcement. And all the people are like, my name is changed. Abraham to Abraham, father of nations. All the people are like, and he doesn't have a child. He's 99 years old. You must imagine the feeling of the people listening to the announcement. People will feel probably embarrassed for him, feel awkward maybe, like, okay. But as if that's not enough. To Sarah, because she'll be mothers of nations. Sarah, 89 years old at this point of her announcement, beyond childbearing and no child at all. How would the people feel when listening to this? How would Sarah feel when she listened to this? Sarah probably is standing there listening to this announcement. She'll be like, thanks, uncle. Thanks, old man. All the people will probably feel embarrassed for her too, and she'll probably feel embarrassed for herself too. How do you know? Well, chapter 18, verse 14 says, Sarah laughed. She herself, verse 12, Sarah herself laughed. She didn't really believe that she was going to have a child. But now it's chapter 17, and Abraham is announcing this. So as if awkwardness is not enough, as if embarrassment is not enough, Abraham now announced the third announcement. Guys, now this announcement involves all of you. We're going to get circumcised. This is a painful and troublesome experience, and the Bible tells us in verse 23, he did on the same day of the announcement that God told him. On the very same day. It was a very immediate thing. What is the right response to the grace that God has given to us? Grace upon grace upon grace upon grace. What's the right response? I put there. The right response to grace is immediate obedience, sometimes to our own hurt. Immediate obedience. Abraham did it on the same day covenant was given to him. And sometimes to his own hurt. He will feel awkward, embarrassed, and probably people will scratch their head and cause a lot of inconvenience. 5 years ago, when Esther, my wife, was expecting, we have sat down and we discussed, and we have decided that Esther will quit her job and stay home as a full-time mom to take care of Louis, to spend time with her, so hopefully we can bring her up in a godly manner. Many people advised us against it. And in fact, when I went to buy drinks at the mama shop, you know, those provision shop downstairs my house, by this Indian guy, he told me, your wife is not working. Why? Your wife can easily earn 2.5k. I don't know how he came out the figure. Your wife can earn easily 2.5k. And let's say you use 1k for a maid to take care of your daughter. You still have 1.5k spare. I said, wow, your calculation very good. I wonder if mama shop very good at this. But what we want is we want to respond in obedience to God. For our case, to respond to God in obedience. For Esther to really spend time with our daughter. And a lot of people advise us against it. Some of them, when they hear of our plan, they feel awkward for us. Some of them feel embarrassed for us, or feel that we are probably as stupid or foolish. I share this example not to say that we are perfect parents, because we are not. And even when we spend time with Louis, we sin a lot, and we make a lot of mistakes. And I share this as testimony to you. It's not saying, it's also not saying that all of you must do what I do. It's not that. But this is, for Esther and myself, this is our personal response of obedience to God, even though we may seem stupid in the eyes of the world. But for some of us, what does it mean? To obey God and respond to His grace. Well, it may mean, for those who are working, instead of overtime for 10 hours per week, maybe you cut down to 7 hours per week, so that you have 3 hours to spend time with God, with your family members. But some may protest and say, like that I earn less. Yeah, but because immediate obedience means, to respond to the grace of God means immediate obedience sometimes to our own hurt. And for the students, maybe instead of studying 12 hours per day, you cut down to 10 hours per day, so that you have 2 hours to spend with God, to serve Him, and to serve the people around. But the student may protest and says, like that I lose time, I may lose my friend who have extra 2 hours more than me. But the response to God's grace means immediate obedience, sometimes to our own hurt. For those of us who are in a relationship or pursuing a relationship, or who are single, maybe you find a partner who's not a Christian, or at least their faith is questionable. It may mean for us to reconsider the relationship. Or it means for us not jumping into a new relationship. Or it may even mean for us to stop a certain relationship. But some of us who are single may protest and say, like that I may miss my boat. I may be left on the shelf, like what people say. Or people may get upset with me. But what's the response to God's grace and upon grace and grace upon us. Immediate obedience, sometimes God will hurt. What is one other sign or result of a person who has received God's grace upon grace upon grace? Chapter 18, verse 1. Hospitality. So Abraham saw 3 strangers coming and he showed them great hospitality. To what extent? Take a look at this. Verse 2 says that he didn't know they were angels. He didn't know that. He looked up, he saw 3 men. And Hebrews chapter 13, verse 1 also hint to us that Abraham didn't know who he was showing hospitality to. What did he do? He humbled himself in willing service. Verse 2, he bowed down before them. A 99-year-old man bowing down before 3 strangers. What did he offer? He offered waters to wash their feet. Verse 1 tells us it's under the heat of the day. Wow, if you have some cooling water to wash your feet, it is something very comfortable. So he offered them comfy or to feel comfortable. Second, he offered them good and choice food. Verse 6 to 8. Choice food, not leftover. Choice food for them, prepared before them. Not just that, end of verse 8 tells us that while they were eating, Abraham was standing by. The old man was standing by to wait upon them so that he can immediately or continually meet the needs of the people. Need tissue paper? And you bring tissue paper. Need water? You bring something of this kind of understanding. So, and he was showing to who? These 3 strangers who, verse 5 says, they may go on their way. They may not come back in the same way to repay him of his kindness. And who are these? They are strangers. They probably deserve such kindness to be shown to them. Why would Abraham do that? Because God showed him kindness that he himself did not deserve. That's why when he is a recipient of God's grace, he will dispense such grace genuinely. A person who receives the grace of God will dispense or will give such hospitality genuinely. To sum up what we have discussed in these 1.5 chapters, we begin by asking ourselves, what will you do when someone failed you or messed up your plan? Chapter 16, Abraham and Sarah messed up God's plan, leaving terrible consequences. God showed Abraham and Sarah grace. He educated them on who he is as God Almighty, and he educated them how to respond to him in faith, to walk blameless before him. And then he assured Abraham and Sarah of their covenant relationship, a special relationship that they had. God showed them grace upon grace. God will still assure them that God will use them and they can be a blessing to other people's life as well. God showed them grace upon grace and upon grace. God cleared up their mess. Ishmael, God will bless Ishmael. But above all, God is going to send an impossible son to clean up the mess of their sin. How should we respond when we receive God's grace? Immediate obedience, even to the point of uncomfortableness, embarrassment, or to our own hurt. We should show, at the same time, we should show grace or hospitality to people who do not deserve or has no means to pay us back. Shall we pray? We pray that God, you will help us to realize the grace you have always been showering on us. First, when you meet us through our Lord Jesus Christ, and you save us from sin. And every day of our life, help us realize that you have always been showering your grace upon us. And they are new every morning. Every morning you give us new, fresh dosage of grace. Help us realize that now. And help us to respond to you with obedience. And to be gracious and hospitable to people around us.